So far in this series, we've intentionally avoided rushing this tank. There's no unnecessary equipment, there's no livestock, no shortcuts. We started by cleaning up this gently used JBJ RF25 all-in-one aquarium, then focused on the things that actually matter early on: temperature and salinity stability, flow, and sterile rockwork. In short, creating the right environment before anything living ever went into the system. But now it's time to cycle this tank. But honestly, I think a lot of reefers misunderstand what cycling actually is. Because cycling a reef tank is not just about ammonia turning into nitrite, nitrite turning into nitrate. That's a big part of it, for sure. But what we're really trying to do here is establish the biology of our system: bacteria, microfauna, biodiversity, and overall stability. We're not just trying to make the tank safe enough for livestock as quickly as possible. We're trying to build the foundation for a healthy reef long term. And that's where this approach starts to look a little bit different. Now, traditionally, a lot of reef tank cycles were basically sterile starts: dry rock, dry sand, bottled bacteria, and then waiting for the tank to stabilize over time. And that can absolutely work. But one thing I think we've learned over the years is that reef tanks don't become successful just because they can process ammonia. They become a success because they develop into stable ecosystems. When you start with mostly sterile materials, there's very little biological competition early on. And in a brand new tank, something is going to occupy that space eventually. The question is, what gets there first? That's part of the reason newer reef tanks can struggle with instability, ugly stages, nuisance algae, or bacterial imbalances early on. The biome itself is still immature. So for this build, instead of introducing one narrow source of bacteria and waiting months for biodiversity to slowly develop on its own, I want to seed this system with as much diverse biology as possible from the very beginning. So instead of relying on just one thing, we're layering multiple biological sources together to help establish a more complete biome early on. The first piece of that is Brightwell Aquatics Start XLM. This is going to provide the nitrifying bacteria responsible for processing ammonia and helping establish the core biological filtration of the tank. Basically, this is helping jumpstart the part of the cycle most people are familiar with. But I don't want this system to just process ammonia. I want it alive. So alongside that, I'm also adding PNS Deep Cycle. What's interesting about Deep Cycle is that it introduces a completely different type of bacteria into the system, specifically photosynthetic purple non-sulfur bacteria. These bacteria can help consume organics, contribute to biodiversity, and occupy biological space early before less desirable organisms do. Then we're taking things a step further with live copepods. I'm adding algae barn ecopods to introduce microfauna directly into the system during the cycle. A lot of reefers wait until much later to add pods, but I want these populations establishing themselves as early as possible. After all, pods are part of a healthy reef ecosystem. They consume film algae, leftover organics, and detritus, while also becoming a natural food source later on for the reef tank's fish and coral. And if we want these pods to establish properly, they need a food source. So I'm also dosing homebrew live feeds margarita phytoplankton. This phyto helps feed those pod populations, while also introducing another layer of biodiversity into the system. It's one more step toward making this tank feel biologically active early, instead of waiting months for that to happen naturally. And finally, I'm adding Aqua Natural live filter media nanobiospheres. What I like about these is that they're not just additional surface area for bacteria, they're already biologically active media. So instead of waiting for sterile media to colonize over time, we're adding even more established biology directly into the system from day one. Now, does that mean the tank instantly becomes mature overnight? Absolutely not. And I think that's an important distinction. You cannot rush reef tank maturity. You can support it, you can encourage it, you can introduce biodiversity earlier. But time is still a critical part of this process. And honestly, I think that's where a lot of reef tanks struggle early on. People get through the cycle, but the biome itself is still immature and unstable. That's when you start seeing ugly stages hit hard, instability creep in, and systems struggle to find balance. So for me, this process is less about speed and more about building stability from the very beginning. And you'll probably notice there's still no lighting running over this tank. Right now, there's no coral in this system that needs light, and blasting a brand new tank with intense lighting too early can sometimes create more problems than benefits. So at this stage, I'm focused entirely on biology, building it, feeding it, supporting it, and giving it time to establish. Over the next few weeks, we'll be monitoring the tank closely, watching how the system responds, tracking the cycle progression, and paying attention to how this biome develops before we even think about adding any livestock. Remember, reef tanks aren't built in a weekend, they mature over time. And right now, that process is officially underway. We're taking a bit of a break while this tank settles in, but we'll be back with episode 4 before too long, where we're going to be talking about adding our first fish, cleanup crew, a test coral or two, as well as getting some light on this tank. See you again soon.